following story is true. The names have been changed at the request of the survivors. After all, this is a horror fiction podcast. PseudoPod is made entirely by humans in service of an ancient being wider than time and older than hope. She's nice. Says hello. PseudoPod, episode 1040, 31st July 2026. This week's stories, I always love when I get to do that. Flash on the Borderlands 79, Ubi Amor, Ibai Dolor, which translates as Where there is love, there is pain. Written by Jordan Shiveley, Divya Kernan, Thea Jeanna Cammarano, narrated by Scott Campbell, Shweta Adhyam, Rebecca Hsieh, and Premee Mohamed. Audio production by Graeme Dunlop, hosted by me, Alasdair Stuart. Welcome to PseudoPod, the weekly horror podcast. I'm Alasdair, your host, and this week's collection is themed, as these always are, around the quote above. Where there is love, there is pain. This episode has very strong sexual content. Assault, homophobia, suicide, implied necrophilia, plus some others which are spoilers. Please check our website for more information. We have included timestamps for specific stories there, so you can skip anything you think might be particularly difficult for you. In short, the horror thing, this week we really mean it. Please consider yourself content warned. First off, we have A Table Set and Waiting by Jordan Shiveley. It was previously published by Baffling Magazine in 2022. Jordan is the author of the novel Hot Singles in Your Area, which was unfortunately and briefly published by Unbound. Jordan's work has also been seen in a variety of short fiction venues, such as The Best Horror of the Year Volume 15, Nightmare Magazine, Void Junk, Baffling Magazine, The Crawling Moon, Queer Tales of Inescapable Dread from Neon Hemlock, and various tabletop role-playing games. Jordan lives and works in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They are a dear friend, a fiercely talented author, and, as I intimated with rather less subtlety than I normally manage earlier, were one of many victims of the Unbound fiasco, which broke across publishing a while back like a tidal wave of shitty practices, self-righteousness, and exploitation of authors. I'm aware that to some of you I probably sound angry. That is because I am angry. There are people I loathe more than parasites that feed off authors, but not very many. If you want details, and honestly, you do, just so you can avoid the arrogant grifters responsible, then please check the show notes. The audiobook of Jordan's novel, Hot Singles in Your Area, is available to order now, and was not published by Unbound, which means Jordan will actually see some money from any sales. Your narrator for this one is our own Scott Campbell. Scott searches for challenges that will increase his skills for the battle to come. The slush pile underneath PseudoPod Towers is a very worthy opponent. Scott started as an associate editor at PseudoPod in 2016, and he became web wrangler in 2021, ascending to assistant editor in 2022. Scott is a goddamn hero, an invaluable resource for not only his assistance with reviewing stories, but also helping to build all the blog posts and ensuring our websites and bios are up to date. So, get ready to open the door. The truth is back there.
A Table Set and Waiting by Jordan Shiveley. Narrated by Scott Campbell. No one knows who found the dark room first. Maybe it found us. Needed us. We are taught to venerate first times. First time you lose a tooth. First time you taste alcohol. First time you masturbate through angry tears zipped inside your sleeping bag at a youth group retreat. But even now, I only hold the faintest smudge of a memory. A static film of the stairs down to the basement. A slash of yellow flaking paint that peeled away from a door handle, the suffocated rattle and wheeze of an air-conditioning ground unit that leaked silent pulls over time-polished concrete floor. The dark room, Even writing it out here, it loses some of the weight that it used to insert on reality. The memory, much like the word, has been erased and rewritten one too many times, its page wearing thin. It was the summer Colin Hayters bit my ear till it bled, while I jacked him off in the sweet, musty sweat of the art room storage closet. I remember standing in front of the door watching my friends enter it one by one. A glass security door covered with stickers and "No shoes, no service" and "Bathroom is for customers only" signs this time. But the door itself never mattered. We were there for what was behind it. Darkness enveloped each of them, only a few feet into the room. The darkness did not take them gradually. There was not the receding of a figure slowly being shadowed by distance, time, or the absence of light. It was a sudden swallowing, a working of a throat, pulling a mouthful down an esophagus in the space of a breath. A delineated border of dark that pushed across the landscape of their bodies. Like thrusting your face into a bathroom sink full of water during a dinner party so no one can hear your choked sobs. One moment they were there, bisected by dirty hallway light and flat, impenetrable shadow, and the next, they were gone. It looked so beautiful. Even in the dim hallway, I could still see my skin, my blocky hands scratched from yard work, my neon blue Swatch watch with the yellow stripes on the band that I said I wore ironically, but really I just thought was pretty. My dick was sweaty and hatefully half-hard in my briefs. All the landmarks of polluted meat and bone that served as a trigger from my memories. Remembering the people I wish would want to see me. Touch me, spit in my mouth, anything, but look at me the way they did in hallways and grocery store lines. Once you were inside, you could look back and see the door floating there. But I never looked back after the first time. The whole point of the room, what was coming to meet you in the dark. The thing that came forward slowly towards your aching, throbbing body of meat and bones, towards your skin, your fevered needs, your worn-out dreams. Its approach felt like the change in air pressure before a storm. The building tension pressed against your eyeballs and prickled the nape of your neck. And then it was there. Always first slithering around your feet, snaking up along the sweat-lined tender skin at the back of your knee. Or long bending fingers encircling your ankles and rubbing back and forth as their grip tightens. I could never tell what the thing looked like. In the dark, you couldn't see shit. That was the point. Then you feel the claws. Teeth, knives held by a host of many small and hungry hands. It didn't matter. They were tracing over your skin, pressing through your clothes to draw a map of what was to come. I would hold my breath, drawing in gaping mouthfuls of need. My lungs would burn as I waited for the thing to continue. I held so still, afraid if I moved, it would dart away and leave me unfinished and ruined. When the first cut began, something dry and leathery would push apart my lips to scrape like rustling paper through the cage of my teeth. Then talons, knives, teeth began to slice along the lines that they had been tracing, and the thing in my mouth would push its way further and further inside of me, filling cavities that I hadn't known existed until it was inside them. I would, of course, scream at this point. I would scream until it felt like every vein in my body would explode. I would scream into the thing as it entered me, a desperate keening of agony and welcome. And then it would all fall away. The skin, the meat. The time Colin Hatter shoved me into the hard linoleum of the school hallway and broke my glasses just because I leaned against the locker next to his and said, "Hey, you," like a total fucking cum-drunk idiot. The thing in the dark would take all of it. After, I would still hear it moving, the slapping sound of meat rearranging itself close and warm, an invisible limb thrusting itself into a wet and welcoming glove. On the floor, free of everything, staring into the blessed dark as it left in the husk of meat and bones I'd entered with. Sometimes, when it came back, our skins were battered or burned. Alex Catton's was so ruined that he collapsed it after. We left him in the parking garage and ran. Other times it would drag meat back into the room. Bodies flensed and broken, joints cracked and bone poking from islands of wet meat like stark white seashells. The thing wearing my body would stand over me, chewing. It sounded more like forcing gristle through a meat grinder than human mastication. It would never let us stay like that. No matter how much we begged or wept, it would always come back and reclothe the blissful nothing it had made of us with the meat and sweat and shame it had taken. Then it would be done with me, for the time being. Even if I knelt there in the all-encompassing dark for hours, it wouldn't return. So I would leave. The weight of my self-perception, a raw, seeping, sunburned against a wool sweater. Until it became unbearable, and I went looking for the dark room again. Each time, it took longer and longer to find, until finally, it just wasn't there. I can't blame it. I just wish I knew what I did wrong. What I need to change to be what it wants to consume again. I never saw what the thing in the dark room looked like. There is a cloudy, scratched mirror down here in the basement, hung over a chipped ceramic sink, stained from generations of people trying to scrub the world off their skin. When I look at it, my face is different. My jaw hangs lower, and when I move it, I can feel the bones in it clicking against each other like the ratcheting of an adjustable wrench, like a chicken bone cracking in the garbage disposal. I like what I see. I feel myself getting hard. I hate it. I hate that I hate it. I rub the corners of my mouth with raspy fingers, letting it stretch open even farther, remembering the razor lines of cuts tracing over me. I think about what it must have looked like, walking around under the sun with my skin taut around it, and I unbutton my pants. I pull my shirt up over my head. The collarbones in the mirror are stark valleys rimmed with freckles. My reflection touches the place Colin Hatter marked with his teeth, and when it moves my hand away, he is still there. I like what I see. I stare at my shirt, balled up in my hand, and throw it into the darkness of the basement's far corner. A chumming of the water. I step out of my pants and kick them after it, a baiting of the air. I push my underwear down my hips. My reflection slides one hand over my cock and the other inside my mouth. It probes my teeth, and the thick piece of meat that lies between them vibrates and slides against my stiff fingers as I moan. I grasp the writhing worm of my tongue hard between two fingers and thumb and squeeze. The loose edges of my mouth shuddering as I scream into my hand. For a moment, I think the darkness behind my reflection thickens, and my cock jerks of its own accord. But then it is gone. Come back! The muscles at the root of my tongue spasm, but I tighten my grip. I think of LXXIX and what was left of him on the floor of the dark room. Grizzle clogging a drain. I think about what the thing brought back with it, about the wet sound of its feeding. I think about how much of myself I will have to throw into the dark corner of my basement before it notices me again. I think of my family sleeping upstairs. And I pull.
Ignorance is not just bliss. It's a defense and sometimes a shelter. If we don't know we're suffering, we can pretend we aren't. Our lizard brains work to keep us alive long enough for our mammal brains to wake up and do something. Do anything. It's horrific living like that, and worse, realizing that you have been. It is never easy, and it's never the same. Abuse, addiction, intrusive thoughts, depression, neglect, all of them and every other homegrown artisanal monster are waiting for us, not just in that room, but to follow us out of that room, whispering to us that war is peace, hurt is healthy, bad is good, up is down, austerity is prosperity. Nothing is certain but one thing. Eventually, we all learn that while the table is set and waiting, we can choose not to sit at it. There are better places. There are better meals. We deserve them all. Next, we have Third Date by Divya Kernan, which is a PseudoPod original. Divya is a biracial and neurodivergent specfic writer, a French native, and an alumna of the short story incubator at Grub Street, Boston. Her short story, Carmilla, or The Making of a Girl, published in Baffling magazine, was featured on Reactor's must-read list. Your narrator this week is Shweta Adhyam. Shweta belongs to Madras and Seattle and speculative fiction. She speaks 5 languages, has had 4 careers, is 3 layers of immigrant, calls 2 cities home, and believes escapism is of the first importance. She is frenemies with ADHD, knows far more about Hindu mythology than is good for her, and attended Clarion West in 2017. She lives with her spouse and child. Pick your lines. Pick your truth. It's story time.
Third Date by Divya Kernan. Read by Shweta Adhyam. Content warning for physical abuse. When you invite him up to your place, there is no guarantee he won't kill you. So you make an educated guess. You plan to sleep with him. Surely that cuts motives for murder by half. Besides, you have closely watched his teeth and could swear they aren't the biting kind. Though you've been wrong before. Regardless, you want him. You lose no time by the door, pull him inside, unbutton his collar, only to pucker up, belatedly coy, in case eagerness on the third date looks sloppy. You want a drink? You ask. The adult way of asking, will you kill me? He says, no thanks, that's not what I'm here for. Flashing endearingly uneven teeth. bright in the spare moonlight, no space between top and bottom brows. Your eyes dart to the jagged bone shard on the jewelry plate by the head of the bed, souvenir of the last man you slept with. He really did a number on you, Alexa, your friend who's a therapist but not your therapist, said, when you told her your boyfriend turned on you. You did not show her the wound, only the bandage, the bitten flesh underneath oozing pink juice no one cared to see. Did you talk to the police? Your therapist, who is not your friend, asked when you displayed the concave scar. You said yes, she said good, and then you went back to talking soul-altering experiences and how you refused to be scared out of your work. What sort of animal leaves such marks? Your PT asked once, and never again, after you answered with a single word, man. This man, the one in your bedroom, looks nice, with warm gold-flecked brown irises that invite unconditional trust. And when he kisses your mouth, then your neck, you enjoy how soft his lips are. No dried peeling flakes, no chafing stubble. He takes good care of himself, chapstick, razor and all. You bet he'll take good care of you too. When you back into the bed edge, he drops to his knees and runs his fingers up your legs. I am going to eat you up, he tells your navel. And even though it sounds like a threat, you giggle it off. Add a little moan in there to make sure he doesn't question your enthusiasm. Because now of all time seems too late to doubt his intentions, not with his teeth so close to your flesh. Despite the sorry choice of words, you cannot believe he wants to kill you. At his scrutiny, the concave scar itches. He stops in his track to poke his thumb into the cleft, probing for that missing chunk of you. And in response, you buzz with a sudden urge to pry his mouth open with pliers and inspect his choppers. If you find pricks, you will blunt them or pull them out. He doesn't ask what happened. Either he doesn't care, or he has his own understanding of what befalls girls who invite strange men to their apartment so fast, so easy. He proceeds with his undressing of you in silence, either loaded or erotic, you cannot tell the difference. Too busy that you are replaying in your mind each of your dates, picking them apart for green flags, how he pulled the chair for you, whether he mentioned a mom or a sister, a woman that does not pray, how he looked at the waitress with the deep cleavage, or winked at the waiter who beamed at you so much he had to ask if you two knew each other. He didn't look angry, did he? What did he say was the reason he broke up with the previous girl? You don't remember. From down below, he raises his smile to your face, eyes rolled back so you see more ivory white than gold-flecked brown, lips stretched inexistent, leaving you to wonder what part of him kissed you moments ago. His teeth? Under his touch, phantom pain pulses through the hollow on your exposed thigh, where skin and muscle meat should be. He had been your boyfriend for months, had nibbled at that sensitive spot before, first playful, laughing when you squealed, and sometimes later brutal because you had displeased him. The bruises always faded. Then one night he was all teeth, an unending circle of incisors pressing into you. Gentle for a provocative blink, then vicious, until a small human mouthful of blood and tissue tore away from you. You kicked him in the jaw out of reflex and, stronger from your panic and his own surprise at what he had just done, or what you had just done, punched him out, screaming at the bloody smirk that slashed his handsome mug from ear to ear. Only after you'd locked the door and heard his footsteps retreat did you check the damage. There, at the ragged edge of the bleeding wound, you found the tooth embedded in your thigh, bone white and startling. Third date doesn't bite. He feels good. Good enough, in fact, that you forget for a while he has teeth. A feat easier achieved with your eyes closed. Nevertheless, when he rolls away to fall asleep at the other end of your king-size bed, you stretch your arm and grab the small ivory shard from the jewelry plate. He didn't kill you. The thought tastes of victory. He still might, in the morning, while you slumber, whispers the tooth in your palm. Or on the fourth date. Or the day down the line when he decides you're a sad slut. The tooth nicks your finger. You glance at third date snoring through the darkness. You have teeth too. You could learn to bite. You graze his soft pink ear and he moans in his sleep. Maybe he's a good guy, you think. Maybe not. You fall asleep, clenching in your hand the tooth, together with a vague hope that you will wake up alive.
Some author notes. A long time ago, in the early days of a new relationship, I joked to my friends that things were good because I had woken up alive after my date had spent the night. Fresh out of a psychologically abusive relationship, I had serious doubts about my capacity to spot red flags. After all, when do you really know someone? Since that time, I've wanted to explore that hazardous moment when you first let someone into your safe space. That is how this story was born. This is an incredible piece of work, and one that speaks to that exact same difficult, horrible space where you know something is trauma, you know it's going to hurt you, and is hurting you now, and you can't quite break free. This line, he didn't kill you. The thought tastes of victory. God, that's bleak. And familiar. Continuing is victory sometimes. Perseverance is peace for a time. Never for long enough. What Kernan excels at here, aside from literally everything, is the sense of dreadful empowerment that can engender. You woke up alive. It didn't kill you. It didn't kill you. That means you can go back again. But do you want to? Or do you just think you should? Are you adapting or are you evolving? And if you're evolving, what or who are you evolving into, and are you doing it by choice? Will you still be here when you become whatever you are heading towards? Next on the menu, you're still here. Your author for this story is Thea Liu, and this is a PseudoPod original. Thea is a Taiwanese horror and fantasy writer. Her short fiction has been published in various venues, including Uncharted, Factor 4, and Suspect. She lives in Taipei with her 2 cats, neither of whom understand or care that she would prefer to have both arms free while writing. This story is narrated for us by Rebecca Hsieh. Rebecca is a Taiwanese-American actor, writer, translator, and sensitivity reader based in New York City. Having grown up across several continents, her work focuses on the interplay between Asia and the Asian diaspora, gender, queerness, and mental illness, and has been featured in outlets like We Need Diverse Books, Wear Your Voice magazine, Book Riot, and The Dot and Line. She has a BA in Theatre and Italian Studies from Wesleyan, and you can find her attempts to use her liberal arts degree at her website, which we'll link in the show notes. So get ready to bare your feelings, and your teeth, and your truth, because it's story time.
You're Still Here by Thea Liu. Narrated by Rebecca Hsieh. When I arrive at your funeral, I'm stopped at the church door. At first, I think it's because of that night, even though I didn't think anyone recognized me in the dark. But it's the opposite. It's just because your friends think I'm a stranger barging in, until your mother tells them I'm the girl who lived next door to you. And then they remember I'm 5 different shades of loser and put me in a seat at the back. I don't even get to look at you before the service starts. That's fine. Getting a seat is more than I deserve, and I'd prefer to be far away from Jesus anyway. Would your parents find the fact I'm a girl kisser a bigger sin? Or how I'm the reason you died? Maybe I'll tell them someday that it was me, but not until after the funeral, for sure. There are speeches. Your mother's is nice, and she almost mentions me, even if I'm mushed into the general group of childhood friends. Your boyfriend can barely string 2 sentences together. His eyes are bloodshot. Grief or a weed. No one asks me to say anything, obviously. Only my parents know we still hung out after you became popular. It was my mom who found the lipstick you forgot in our bathroom before we went out that night. You were ashamed of me, I guess. It's fine. I'm ashamed of me, too. And then the priest is saying God has a purpose, blah, 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 and a squeal starts building up in my ears. My stomach growls. I haven't been able to eat anything since you died. Even when I force food down, everything tastes bland, like lettuce, and I vomit it up after. I look at my phone, as if I don't have your last text memorized. I'm sorry. Please answer me. I just need to figure things out. I lean my head back against the pew and think about how there's always a reminder during assembly to not text while crossing the street. As I run my thumb along the phone screen, from the point where the incoming truck had slammed into you, up to the 5-hour break before, please answer me. I think that they should have reminded us during assembly to just reply to the goddamn text, even if we don't want to. 1. Stonewalling is a low move. 2. Then I wouldn't be at your funeral. Your parents let everyone throw a handful of dirt onto your coffin. They go first. It takes a while because they're crying so much. Next, your grandparents, who invited me to go to church, then never spoke to me again after I refused. Your boyfriend, who still doesn't recognize me from that night. Does he know how much time you spent in my room complaining about him? Probably not. But I guess now he knows the good girl he dated had more sins staining her soul than opening her legs for him. Your brighter, prettier friends are careful to not smudge their makeup or clothing. I didn't know morning outfits could be that fashionable, but I do know they think the horror flicks you like to watch with me are either corny or belong to the devil. I almost miss my turn, too preoccupied with the screeching sound building in my head. Most of the wood is obscured. I do my best to toss my bit of soil onto a bare patch, because it's the closest I can get to being beside you again. In a way, isn't my touch on your grave more permanent than the brief meeting of shoulder and shoulder, cheek and cheek? The screeching grows louder and louder as the hole is filled in. It doesn't stop after it's done, you're buried away forever, and we're trudging out of the cemetery. It continues during the reception, where the only thing that doesn't taste like lettuce is the trickle of blood in my mouth when I bite my lip. I'm hungry enough to suck on the wound. It tastes good. The sound is still there after I get home, after my mom makes me have dinner, after I throw it up in the bathroom, After I put on the lipstick you left behind and imagine I can touch your lips through it. After I get into bed and imagine you are still here, sitting next to me, and I'm working up the nerve to hold your hand. Maybe if my stomach weren't so empty, I'd be able to sleep. I bite the pillow you used to borrow, not to eat it. That would be crazy. Just to pretend. A couple of hours of tossing and turning later, I figure out what the sound is. It's the truck, trying and failing to brake. Did you see it coming? Did you have time to feel fear? I don't know. I don't even know what you wanted to figure out. How could I know? I never saw you again after that final night. I never saw you in the hospital or the morgue. I didn't even see you in your coffin. I'm never going to see you again. The truck's scream continues, closer and closer and closer. I go down to the basement and take out the shovel. It takes me most of the night. I shouldn't have assumed newly poured dirt would be easy to rehome. It had nestled around you, after all, and everyone who's ever been near Corona knows how impossible it is to leave. Also, I'm weak from puking up my meals. My blisters have formed and burst and formed again by the time I pry open the lid. And there you are. More perfect in death than I've ever been or will ever be in life. The mortician did a good job hiding the truck's marks on you, but I wipe away the demure pink lipstick your mother chose for you and replace it with the wine-red one you were wearing that night when we staggered into the dark lane behind the church and you leaned close enough I smelled the gin on your lips. I saw it in your eyes. The moment you said fuck you to Jesus and your parents. It was only a quick brush, light enough I wonder if it existed only in my imagination. But no. I remember the wine red staining the corner of my mouth, how difficult it had been to wash off, how much I didn't want to. Would you have kissed me? Really kissed me? If your group of friends from school hadn't noticed us? If your boyfriend hadn't been there, maybe you wouldn't have jolted back into being the girl who went to church every Sunday. As if kissing a girl was a worse offense to God than letting a boy fuck you in the church's bathroom and ran after him crying. I know. I'm sorry. It's not easy to betray your upbringing. But I was scared too. Because you're beautiful and I'm me and I had hungered 12 years for that moment and you didn't even text me sorry until a week after. I admit, I wanted to make you feel as awful as I did. There's no one here to make either of us scared anymore. Your lips are cold, but that's okay. Your dead lips are better than anything else I've ever tasted. And maybe I'm confusing my lips with yours, but I swear they're soft enough to mold to mine. My neck and back ache from the digging and from bending over the coffin, so I climb in and lie on you. And it's kind of nice to know I can't bruise you with my weight. I was right. There's still a softness to you. My teeth sink into your lip with barely any resistance, and whoever said fresh meat tastes better was wrong. Though they've never tasted you, no one's ever tasted you like this until now, so I can forgive that mistake. I take in the best parts of you. The curve of your cheek and the palm of your hand, the smooth arch of skin along your collarbone. I take you in until I can't anymore. My stomach is too full, and I could make myself throw up and have more of you. But I finally don't want to now. Also, I can never waste any part of you. The screeching in my ears stops, because I've saved you. Soon you will become my flesh and bone, my skin and gut, and as long as I'm alive, you'll never truly be dead. You're still here, inside me, with me, and you always will be. When I shower after getting home, I leave the drip of dark blood at my chin for last. It looks like your lipstick.
Some author notes. You're Still Here exists because of, and we have a spoiler for Yellow Jackets here, the snacky scene in Yellow Jackets Season 2, namely the part where Shauna gets a little cartilagey nibble before the rest of the group. It got me thinking about the use of cannibalism as a metaphor, and how it can so viscerally represent jealousy, obsession, yearning, and exploitation. In You're Still Here, cannibalism is done as an act of love and obsession, a way to keep the dead, dearly beloved alive. But I am fascinated by other uses of cannibalism in literature as well. Artistically, not because I'm cannibalism curious. For those similarly fascinated, I would love to direct you to the article Tender is the Flesh Eating, the Literary Cannibal as Exploitation and Desire by Wen Yi Lee, published in Reactor, which provides a deliciously, pun extremely intended, in-depth exploration of the topic. This is Alasdair again. Holy shit. I thought of two things as I read this extraordinary piece of fiction. The first was harmonic stasis, the term for music with a rising action that never resolves and as a result constantly builds tension. It's key to Hans Zimmer's work in the scores of the Dark Knight trilogy, but I'll not be linking to that because Zimmer just took the turf shilling to score the new Teenage Wizard TV show, whose name we do not speak. Instead, there's a really good article about harmonic stasis and how to build it in the show notes. The second was tinnitus, and the idea of grief as tinnitus and tinnitus as grief. I've lost people, most of us have, and I have tinnitus in my left ear. Right now, in fact. It's never that bad, and it's honestly a very useful indicator that I'm either stressed, which right now I'm not, or dehydrated, which right now I am, when it flares up. And grief kind of flares up the same way. I can usually take big hits, but 10 small hits in a row take me out, and the summer that we lost my mum was nothing but 10 small hits over and over. A baking hot house with too many people in it, all of them being too British, wondering which piece of classical music would be the last one that my mother heard. Cleaning a house neither of my parents knew or were capable of cleaning anymore, and dealing with the logistics of constant care while working out if a brave face was necessary. Called for. Possible. There are elements of that summer that will always be with me. The noise will always rise, and when it does, I've learned to stare it down and just let it flow. That need to consume, to climb inside my grief, is one I have worked hard to assuage, and I'm grateful for where I am. But the horror here, for me, is just how familiar this metaphorical instinct is, and just how little relief I know it will ultimately bring. This week's final story comes to us from Jeanna Cammarano, and is once again a PseudoPod original. Before we begin, we have a note and a content warning from the author. This story was made with the utmost love and care in mind, and I hope it finds its way into the hearts of those who need it. Whether you are struggling with depression or grief from loss, you are not alone. If you or anyone you know is at risk of suicide or self-harm, please seek out help. You can find crisis numbers at findahelpline.com and more information with the International Association for Suicide Prevention, and we will of course have those links in our show notes. Jeanna Cammarano is best known for wielding a great many pens. some of which happen to create stories. She writes short speculative fiction, often about witches or ghosts, or witchy ghosts, among other things. She's also an assistant editor for Flash Fiction Online, and in a past life made video games. You can find her work in the video game Wildstar and others. Her fiction is linked at WordRat on Blue Sky. Jeanna lives in Nova Scotia, Canada with her family. When she's not writing or editing, she homeschools a wild child who may or may not be a forest creature. Your narrator for this final story for the week is the magnificent Premee Mohamed. Premee is a Nebula, World Fantasy, Ignite, Locus, and Aurora award-winning Indo-Caribbean scientist and speculative fiction author based in Edmonton, Alberta. She has also been a finalist for the Hugo, British Fantasy, British Science Fiction, Ursula K. Le Guin, and Crawford Awards. In 2024, she was the Edmonton Public Library Writer-in-Residence, and she has taught at establishments including the Banff Institute for the Arts, the Clarion Workshop, and the Carl Brandon Society. She has judged short fiction contests for CBC and Alberta Views magazine and can be found on her website at premeemohamed.com. And Premee is also a personal friend, the in-house staff for 2 feline criminals, and just a really good human. So, one last time, the truth.
Nine Steps to Dissecting a Ghost by Jeanna Cammarano. Narrated by Premee Mohamed. Start in the cemetery. I know it's cliché, but when you want to commune with ghosts, there's no better place to find them. You walk down the worn path, and before you know it, you're standing before a headstone with a name so familiar it might as well be your own. Moonlight reflects off its polished surface, illuminating the myriad of emotions that play across your face. Grief, of course, a loved one has died, there will be that. A sadness that cuts so deep it manifests as physical pain. And then there is anger so red-hot that you think it actually registers as hate. Use it. Pull out your shovel and dig. Dig until you hear the telltale thunk of metal against casket. Procure a book of spells. This, at least, is easier than dealing with the body. You order one from Etsy, a witch's grimoire. The seller, the Leather Witch 11, has a 5-star rating and claims to include every spell you could possibly want. It takes 6 weeks for it to arrive, and when it does, you find it's in Latin. You want the summoning done right, don't you? The seller asks you. And you do. Latin is the way to go. Besides, we don't do refunds. You can't stand the idea of waiting 6 to 8 weeks more for another book, let alone the time it would take to track someone down with those kinds of skills. You have questions burning a hole through your broken heart. Questions that need answers. Be sure to cast the right spell. The Latin is a problem, but not an insurmountable one. Remember that anniversary trip and the vow to only speak the local language? You scraped by all right, just the 2 of you. A whirlwind of a holiday filled with innumerable misunderstandings and giggles. Giggles that came without effort, unaccompanied by the tightness of their jaw or hollow edge to their voice. The laughter is now a distant memory. Let's hope your translating skills are not. You painstakingly decipher each line until you're sure you've found what you were looking for. You don't want to accidentally bind this ghost to you forever, do you? That won't get you answers. That won't help you let go. Make a sacrifice of your own. Leave a piece of yourself as an offering to entice the spirit and give it something to hold on to. Your heart would be best, but that's something they've already taken. A drop of your blood, then? No, the thought of it makes you remember. No more blood needs to be spilled. Your ghost will have to settle for something less. A lock of your hair, perhaps? Those same strands so often found entangled within their grasp in moments of love and desperation both. Will that be enough? What about the letter they left? The one that says so much, but nothing at all? Yes, you can give that back too. Only proceed when you're ready to face your ghost. Feel the spell slip from the page and onto your tongue. It's crisp and bittersweet, and thick with promise, one that could mend your broken heart, give you the peace you need to let your loved one go, a release from the pain that haunts you and the anger that feels so close to hate. You wait. At first there is nothing, only a room stilled, but then there is even less. The air around you is pulled away, like a black hole in the vacuum of space. It converges on a point, the small pile of remains and hair and a letter that shouldn't exist. A silken, misty figure unfurls from the abyss. It looks nothing like they did in life. There are no arms to embrace, no hands to hold, no eyes to gaze into. You've missed those eyes. They always held so much warmth when they met yours. You remember, too, how those eyes dulled when they looked away, like the flame had gone out and all that burned were embers. You'd stoke that fire as much as you could, and every time they lit up felt like a gift, a vital, radiant gift. You'd hope to see that flame one more time, proof that you mattered in their eyes, proof they'd made a mistake. Let it all out. This is the moment that finally breaks you. The absence of them, even in their presence, it rips the floodgates open. You yell and scream and call them names. You hurl the questions at them like stones, the ones you've been carrying since they left this world, since they took their own life and most of yours with it. Questions like, why didn't you tell me it had gotten this bad? Was our life really so horrible that you'd give it all away? How could you leave without saying goodbye? Your words are heavy and sharp, and you hope they hurt. Hope they weigh on them as they've weighed on you. You've carried this burden alone too long. Now it's time they do their share, because it's not fair they left you to shoulder this alone. But ghosts don't speak. You won't find the answers you're looking for that way. You have to get to the heart of it. Steel yourself. They don't fight you when you take hold of them. Their smooth, translucent form wraps around your palms as you pull them close. They mold to fit between your fingers and drape themselves across your arms. It feels like an embrace. You sob into them, bury your face into their form. It's nothing like holding them in life, but the cool bundle of them is comforting nonetheless. They lay pliant, an offering of sorts, and they don't move as you pull out your ritual knife. At the first cut, the silken, glassy membrane sloughs away, revealing a gelatinous layer beneath. It sticks to your skin, coating your hands and arms in goopy ectoplasmic innards. Somehow there is more of it now than before. It expands beneath your touch, slowly pooling onto the floor. You can't stop now. Not when you have come so far, not when you are so close. You reach further into the viscous plasma until you find its core and clasp your fingers around something round and hard. You pull. With a squelch, your arm is released, and within your palm lays a small obsidian stone. Answers are often found within. You do as the book instructs and swallow the stone whole. It does not go down easily, and for a moment you worry you might choke. But you force it down anyway, just like your grief. You're good at that. You're aware of its slow descent down your esophagus, and then you're aware of nothing. There's no sense of body or anything else. You're lost in the dark. What you find there isn't what you thought it would be. You thought you'd find where things went wrong, reasons why they couldn't stay, something you did or could have done to make it all right, something that made sense. But there is no reason here. There's only nothing and pain. The two entwined and impossible to tell apart. They wrap around you in inky darkness and pull you into the depths. The darkness is crushing, and you are slowly suffocating under the weight. You understand now the weight of it. Not the why and the how come, but The weight is enough. It doesn't matter what is on the other side of it. There is no other side. It is all-encompassing. And you feel yourself giving in because you see no other choice. You feel yourself sink to the bottomless depths, knowing you will dissolve into it, become it, transform into the thing you always secretly knew you were. Nothing. And that's when you heave your guts out onto the floor. It's not peace, but acceptance. A layer of bile coats your hands and your clothes and the floor, but you continue to heave, purging the darkness that had, in such a short time, become a part of you. It is stripped from you now in violent waves, wrenching itself free from your bones, your veins, and most painfully, your heart. You lay there alone, in a pile of your sick, panting. The remnants of your ghost are gone, returned from wherever they came. Only a stone, glossy with the shade of despair, is left in their wake. But what about you? The hole in your heart remains, and the pain is still sharp and cutting. You find the anger there as well, but it doesn't burn so molten hot. The heat of it transmuted under metamorphic pressure into something less than hate. A truth forged of anger, but love and understanding too. Hold on to it and prove the darkness wrong, because having come out the other side, you know something your loved one did not. They weren't nothing. They were everything.
Once again, my God. The quality of stories week on week that I am privileged to talk about here is always extraordinary, but these four are unbelievably good. This line especially, hold on to it and prove the darkness wrong. I have a long tattoo list. I feel like that might have just made it. Healing feels, a lot of the time, like things snapping into focus. Losses which are finite in reality and infinite in emotion. Realizing a relationship is vital and unhealthy and has to end. The sudden delivery of context for elements of your childhood, your past, your work history, your mental health, your taste, yourself. The hand that writes you, pausing on the page and realizing that it wasn't always doing what it thought it was. It hurts so much, so badly, when you first realize this, and I'm hesitant to give it a personal lens because of the inherent bias, but it also seems to demand that, and perhaps the context, in this case, as I say, the personal context may be of help. 2 years ago, I realized I had anxiety, and further, I realized that I have had anxiety my entire life. The pharmaceutical change that led to this isn't one I need to go into detail on, but the change in perspective is this. It's the final paragraph of this story, the realization that almost all my problems were one problem. In my brain, the bad guy is always Old Man Jenkins from the Anxiety Park. It's still him. He's still there. I unmask him weekly these days rather than daily, but I do unmask him, and I do get that recharge in my catharsis. I prove my darkness wrong. It doesn't hurt anymore. But getting here did. And that pain and the sense of a page blasted clean that comes after it is painfully, exactly, perfectly captured here. Wonderful work from everyone. Thank you all. On to the subject of subscribing and support. PseudoPod has long survived on donations alone, and even though there are ads now, subscribing through our Patreon remains the best way to ensure we can keep bringing you what it says above the lintel. If we had a lintel, we should get a lintel. One story told well. And if you subscribe at the $7 tier, the ads will go away. So if you would like to support what we and the rest of Escape Artists do, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/EA podcasts. And please do that through your browser to avoid paying the App Store fees. Do you prefer another method? Great, we have other methods. There are details for supporting us via Twitch, Amazon Prime, Ko-fi, and PayPal on escapeartists.net, or you can reach out directly by email at donations@escapeartists.net with any questions, and someone will get back to you. If you can't afford to support us financially, then please consider leaving reviews of our episodes or generally talking about them on whichever form of social media you are choosing to dissociate on this week. We now have a Blue Sky account, and we'd love to see you there. I promise we're not talking about the Odyssey, unless you'd like us to. Find us at PseudoPod.org. If you like merch, you can also support us by buying hoodies, t-shirts, and other bits and pieces from the Escape Artists Void merch store, which, in a shocking Seven-esque twist, is actually run by Jordan Shiveley. So if you wanted to help out with the whole Unbound, not enough money going to their authors thing, Jordan does the best work. And we'd help out there too, so maybe go pick something up. The link is in various places, including that shiny Blue Sky account. PseudoPod is part of the Escape Artists Foundation, a 501c3 non-profit, and this episode is distributed under the Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Download and listen to this episode on any device you like. Don't change it. Don't sell it. You're better than that, and you're not allowed. Theme music is by permission of Anders Manga. Join us next week for more true stories. In the meantime, PseudoPod wants you to remember to hold on to it. Prove the darkness wrong.
When you listen to a narrator or let yourself go into a story, you are letting yourself go into the car of a stranger. You are getting into the car of a stranger. You are walking in the front door of someone you do not know.
It's a pseudopod. It's a big foot.
It's all about podcasts these days.